Well, the morning started out good. I got up early, like the hummingbirds here, who are starting to feed, and I decided to go out in the garden, get some stuff done, and turn on the camera so you can watch me as I talk and tell you what my plans are. Here we go. And let me tell you what I'm going to do. This is just the morning thing in here. And let me check the camera and make sure it's working before I continue. I'm doing this before the sun comes up. Well, I did check the camera, and as you can see, it was working good. So I went back on my merry way. So the dilemma here was, guess what? The mic did not pick up. I don't know why. The camera didn't pick up. There was no sound. And it was, do I ditch this and just go on with my day, which I ended up doing quite a bit today? Or do I go back, watch myself work, and narrate over it? Well, I decided I'm going to try to narrate over it and hope I can remember half the stuff I talked about. But you tell me, should I have ditched it and just went on for another time? What I did here was so many of you had come in and asked me about the tunnel. You were saying, no, don't get rid of it because I told you I've got a critter issue. Now, the critter issue is squirrels and goldfinches and other birds too. They're coming in, and possibly even rodents are coming in and decimating a lot of the plants. Now, the dog run behind me is going to work fantastic. So I had thought, I told you on the garden tour, I'm probably going to have this whole thing taken down. Gary said he'd love it. He's just going to drag it down to his yard, literally pull it out and drag it down to his garden. And well, you guys don't want me to do that, but I couldn't sleep good last night. A lot of nights I don't sleep well. And I was laying up and thinking of so many things. And I thought of two things that may be fantastic that will work in here as well as all over the garden. And then another thing for birds. And I'm not going to get into it because I still have to see if it's going to work. So I'm not going to tell you how to do it and then it doesn't work. So I got up this morning and decided I'm going to continue to fill the rest of these totes. And that's what I'm doing now. The last three, the red one, the kind of light blue turquoise one, and that limey green one, need to be finished. Now, the best thing to do is to do it now. And I do procrastinate, and I'll usually come out in March. Oh, I've got to get plants planted, and I'll go ahead and compost in place, as I usually do, and load it up with leaves and everything from the garden, including kitchen scraps, eggs, vegetables, cottage cheese. It doesn't matter. Whatever we could eat, the microbes can eat too. And that's what I usually do. And then I'm rushing to get everything done because it's time to get my squash seeds in, my watermelon, cucumbers, everything I want to start planting, eggplant. And by then I'm exhausted because I'm filling up I don't even know how many totes and refreshing and everything. Well, this year it's going to be different. Here, what I'm showing you is the leaves to my beautiful zucchini were eaten by goldfinches. So I've got goldfinches coming in eating the leaves. Now, why are they doing that? Because most places have to do weed abatement, which means they have to remove as much greens and browns around their yard that's close to their house and certain distances, which means all native plants and a lot of different plants. And a lot of people are putting in cement yards and rocks and desert plants. Well, that's not helping feed our birds and the wildlife. So they're looking for where they can find food. And guess what? Here it is. They can find it here, and they eat the center of the plant out. Once they eat the center, it's very rare that it will regrow when it comes to zucchini, a new center. But I do have some growing, even on my deck, that have multiple centers. They grew another stem out. Though they don't climb and they don't wind around like spaghetti squash, they can sometimes do that. But it's not going to do it now. We're late in the season. We're getting close to the holidays. So I'm going to make sure that I compost all the leaves because remember, I compost in place, which means I take everything, that's grown around here or even from the grocery store, kitchen scraps, leftovers, all goes in a compost bucket. And where does that go when I compost in place and the plants grow? It grows back up. It goes, I should say, back up into the plant itself. So you never want to get rid of that. That's why I want to put the leaves back in. Now, you know that I compost in place when it comes to growing time, which is fine. And I'll go ahead, I'll put a layer of something on the bottom. It could be leaves and sticks and stuff. And then I'll start putting in some soil from around the ground. And then I will put in my kitchen scraps. You've seen it 100 times. And then I will put in sometimes potting mix on the top or more soil from another tote that's already broke down. And in the meantime, I plant them. But it's too much work to get everything done at one time. We're now in fall, and there is a lot of stuff I can grow. I'm growing cabbage. Oh, I've got some cabbage that's just starting to form heads. You could grow all your brassicas right now. You know, your broccoli, your collards, your kale. They love this weather. Things you've already had growing that are still growing can grow. I've got tomato plants that are starting to take off now. They weren't happy during the summer. It was just too damp. I can't figure that out, but it was. Pepinos will grow for me now. There's a lot of stuff that will grow. Cucumbers, a little late to start them now. I did start some in the first few totes there, the yellow and green one, but something got to them and ate them. But I do have the old cucumber plant that's growing a ton of cucumbers. So I'm going to take care of that one in hopes it will continue to grow, because I've been picking cucumbers like constantly. Dozens of cucumbers off this. It looks terrible, but it's growing. So this is what I'm going to do this fall and winter. I'm going to go ahead and start composting things now, because I want to be able to grow plants that I want to eat, not what grows. Like my Malabar spinach that's taking off. I use that for green drinks, but I don't eat a lot of it. Though I know a lot of you love it. You know, we all have our own taste. It's not my thing. Who knows? If I start cooking it, maybe I'll really like it. But I do use it in my green drinks. But I don't need 10,000 leaves from, you know, the Malabar spinach when Gary's growing it too. I want to grow a lot more things that I want to grow. Now, I love that kennel back there, and I'm going to get into that very soon, because I've decided to have it wired up. So I told Gary what I wanted, and he did go and wire it up. I was going to do it, but he said he'll do it. And I'm still going to cover it with one more layer of something else. And we're thinking of changing the top. Now, the only reason I'm going to pull the top off now and change it up is it's in a shaded area. And I want to be able to grow things all winter. And by doing that, I'll be able to turn it into like a greenhouse as well, and then change it up in the spring. Now, you know that I wanted to get 2 more kennels and get rid of the tunnel, the vertical garden that Gary built me here. But there's no hurry. So I'm going to give the vertical garden another chance because of these ideas I came up with. And I think I can stop a lot of the rodents as well as some of the birds. And in the meantime, we'll see how that goes. And I'm going to get my kennel back there all set up. That is a fabulous buy. They do cost about $275, let's say under $300. That's a good buy. How much is a raised bed? You go get a big metal raised bed and you're going to spend $200-300. And those rust out eventually. They all do, or they collapse, or you got to take everything out, which is, I don't even know how many gallons and how long it would take you to empty it out and refix it, because they do collapse and pull apart. With a dog kennel and the way I love growing, that investment of, let's say, just under $300 will last me a lifetime. I don't want it. I can give it away to my grandkids and their grandkids. It's made out of steel. It may rust. I don't know, but that's all right. Hit it with some black paint and it will look just beautiful again. That is really, I must say, one of the best investments that anybody can do that wants to garden. Just think of the amount of organic food you'll be able to grow in that dog kennel that is 8 foot long, 4 foot wide. And like I said, we're going to get more into that. And 6 foot tall. I can walk in that. And by getting 2 of them, I'm not going to have them 16 feet long. I'm going to put the 2 together because I'm going to have 2 extra 4 foot panels. So I should get it close to 20 feet long. That's going to be big. They'll be longer. Do I have the math right on that? I think I do. 8, 16, 17, 18. Yeah, 20 feet long. Well, the tunnel Gary built me is 15 foot. So it'd be even longer. But I'm going to wait. There's no hurry. Let's get through the holiday season. Let's continue to garden. And then I can look at that and see how well it does, analyze it, and see if I want to have that tunnel moved and put 2 kennels. Now, I grow more than enough food than we need. And we spread it around the nature. Neighbors, family, whoever wants. But the main thing is I don't need it to grow food, though it will make my life easier. And if I couldn't grow here, I'm telling you, that is the answer. It would keep out rodents, birds, insects, everything. You would have full control over it, which means you would grow far more food in a small space like that than you could grow in a big yard dealing and battling insects. Now, of course, you could use spray and insecticides and all that, and some of you do, and I understand that. And some of you say, well, we use neem oil. Neem oil is fine. You're going to get rid of the insects that are eating your plants, but keep in mind, it is banned in Canada, I heard. Now, why did they ban it? Because neem oil will also kill your beneficial insects. Keep that in mind. It's not non-toxic to your beneficial insects. It's toxic to all those insects that we need too. So if it's not used correctly or carefully, you could end up destroying your ecosystem if you're trying to create one, which I'm trying to create. So right now there is a balance. I do get food. I guess I want more. They like what I like, and that's the issue. They don't like Malabar spinach. They're going to give me all the Malabar spinach I want because all the critters around here don't want to eat it. But my zucchini, they want it even before it turns into zucchini. They love the leaves, and the leaves give them a lot of nutrition. So it's kind of a battle. I will grow, hopefully, in the dog kennel later on, some zucchini, but that will be later on in the late spring. So we'll see how that goes. In the meantime, I'm going to set up lettuce, maybe parsley, and a few other things in there as I get this together. But here, I'm going to go ahead and get all these totes set up. So when spring comes and it's time to plant, I'm going to run out there and plant. I don't have to be carrying around wheelbarrows and stuff from all over the yard that I just raked up because it's time to plant. No, I want to be ahead of myself. And when you're ahead, you feel better because you now can concentrate on something else you want to do in the garden. You're not in a mad panic trying to get your containers, whether it's a raised bed, grow bags, totes, buckets. You won't be in the middle of trying to get everything put together at that moment because we need a plant right now. But you'll be able to go walk out there with some seeds in hand and just push them in. Maybe plant 3 seeds in one container because, well, you only want one plant to grow in some of the smaller containers. But if they all 3 grow, just take it out. Move it. I really wish my mic didn't go out. Keep in mind, I'm talking over this because my mic went out and the only other option was delete. So I decided to go ahead and do this. I've been working all over around here, not just outside. And that soil I'm putting in there right now is from another tote. So real quick, let me get back to this. So the bottom has been leaves and branches and stuff I've collected. Now I'm moving some soil that I had to move out of other containers into those 3 totes, the red one, the turquoise, and the limey green one in the back. And pretty soon I'm going to go ahead and water it later on tonight. And I have to keep those totes, all of them watered, whether there are plants in there or not. First of all, the water is life, and that will bring earthworms. And the big thing is the microbes will get in there and start to break everything down now. So, like I said, I'll be ready. I don't have to do anything in the spring when it comes to all this. I can keep adding to it all through the fall and into the winter as well. And then when it comes time to plant, I'll just put some potting soil out there. That's all I have to do. And that's what I'm doing right now. And then with everything else going on, I can, like I said, work on other stuff. So after I came in and looked at this, no, I didn't cry, but I was really upset, I have to admit. I decided to go burn off some fuel and go work on my deck. And I'm fixing that up so hopefully I can have a really cute little deck with all the hummingbirds to share with you. And it gave me some time to think about things I'm going to do, because another thing that sparked last night in my head was something for covering the hummingbird feeders. I thought, oh my gosh, what's wrong with me? I've been doing it with the containers and I didn't do it with the hummingbird feeders. So I experimented this morning. It looks great, and I'll be sharing that with you too, because it's going to keep the rain out and everything out, and it's so easy to do. So that's what I was doing all morning. Then I decided now, because we're just early afternoon, do I want to go back and narrate? I don't know. I got up so early to do this so you could hear my voice. just as the sun was starting to come up. And then I thought, I might as well. You don't want to watch it, you don't have to. Tell me if it's okay if I narrate. I don't mind narrating. In fact, I'm watching the garden with you as I talk. And here I'm taking all the squash leaves off, and I'm just going ahead and putting it in those containers that I'm going to compost in. Now, I want you to know, when I work in the garden, I wear the worst clothes possible. So you're not going to find any glitz or glamour here. I'm not into that. When I get dressed up, I go somewhere, of course. But in the garden, I'm going to wear anything I've got, so I don't have to worry if I tear it, if I get mud on it, if I get paint on it. In fact, I use my shirt a lot of times to wipe my hand when I'm painting. And Gary's the same way. Oh my goodness, I wish I would have gotten a clip of that. I've seen him wear t-shirts around the garden where the whole back is all torn up. And I've told him, why don't you throw it away and get a better one? It's fine. It still has some more use out of it. Yeah, until he puts it through a wash again. And then finally, it's just shreds, and he uses it for rags at that point. So I think this is going to be a really good garden season because my mind is always working, and it's very hard for me to shut it off. And I love passing around good information that I think many of you can use. That's just kind of my nature. That's the way I've been. I've been that way since a kid. I've been that way my whole life. If I find something that can really work for a lot of other people, the first thing I do is get the word out. This works. This is easier. And if it doesn't work exactly the way I do it, tweak it. Make it work good for you, but it's successful. So I've got some really good ideas. One of them I have not implemented yet, and I'm getting close to doing it because I know how I want to do it, but I don't have any place to use it. So I think I'm just going to do it anyways, and I will explain it to you later. Look at that. I see a hummingbird watching me. It's sitting up on the very top of the tunnel, right to the left-hand side. Isn't that cute? And I do know the feeders are full because I made sure before I came out. So I want to make sure things work because I told you a long time ago there was something I was doing, and it did work. But it had to be set up a certain way, and there was a gardener that saw it in my garden, and he went ahead and did a whole video on it. Actually, there were two of them. But anyways, that's not the point. The point was he told everybody how to do it. He had never done it before, and he didn't do it right because it needed to be explained. And after he put it up, a few people were smart enough to catch on and say, hey, wait a minute, that's impossible. It doesn't work. Of course it didn't work. Because you need to know full details sometimes. Even though it's not complicated, you need to know exactly how to do it right. That's why I want to get this new idea done where I think it's going to work really good. It does involve tulle. It's going to involve a lot of my irrigation tubing as well, and maybe other things too. But I think it can really help protect the garden even more. But let me get it started. You may see it pop up in my garden here and there, and then I can sit down and tell you, here are the few steps to do this. Or maybe I'm missing a step. That's why I've got to work on it. You know, it's like experimenting and coming up with something. You have to try it and step back. Even the covers I made for the hummingbirds, though I love them, I figured out another way to do it. But I still want to get a couple of them together, step back, look at them, and then know, yep, that's the way to do it. So everything else I've said works. My compost in place, and really everything does work. I love my irrigation tubing. I wouldn't be able to garden without it. The tubing that you see there, I never even talked about it. I put that tubing in on the yellow tote, and then I covered all my cucumbers early on with tulle, and that's what saved the cucumbers. What didn't grow in there is there was watermelon and there was Korean melon. There is a baby Korean melon trying to grow now, but I think it's way too late. They like a lot of heat, and we're going to be leaving, the hot weather soon. Though we're kind of warm during the day, we get really cool into the 60s, low 60s at night. So that one's not going to make it. But the tulle did save the cucumber plant. Now I did plant more, but the rodents took that out. But early on, when it was covered correctly, I got the plant to take off, and though it's really suffering from all the critters chewing on it, I cannot believe how well it's doing because I have cucumbers all over it. I mean, big ones. I shouldn't have left them go that big, but for a cucumber salad where I just slice them up and then cut up an onion and a little vinegar and salt and pepper and whatever you want to put in it, oh, it's so good. And then the other thing I do with my cucumbers is I just chop them up, or I'll use the skin if I'm doing something else, and I blend them up, and then I make a cucumber water. You can do that, and of course pickles too. So I am happy with that. Here, what I'm talking about, I don't remember. Could be Malabar spinach. Could be, oh, I think I was talking about the weed abatement here. How there's not enough food for a lot of the critters. And that is the problem. Years ago when we moved up here, before all the bad fires in California, they weren't as tough on you. You could, leave a lot of different plants to grow. But now they come out, they inspect, and they're really tough with a lot of rules on that because of fires. And I understand that. But when we pull the plants out, we're depleting food for the natural wildlife that's around here. So that's what I'm trying to put back. We grew a lot of bird seed. You saw that in the bird garden. We grow a lot of flowers. As you can see to the right, all the zinnias and milkweed, they're coming up. And the animals and butterflies and everything feed on that. They also feed on our garden flowers. The hummingbirds go through and they pollinate. They are pollinators, just like all the other insects. They're going from flower to flower looking for either nectar or pollen or little insects. And as they stick their beak and their tongue in there, they're passing the pollen where it's supposed to be. So we need the birds, and that's why we can help by adding in some flowers or whatever we can to keep nature going. Can we make enough for all the animals? Probably not. That's why they're coming in to take what we've got. There's still a lot of food that they need. But as far as hummingbirds, that is one bird that we absolutely can help by putting out 1/4 cup of white granulated sugar and 1 cup of water. Mix well until it's dissolved. Put a little bit out, store the rest in your fridge, and put it in hummingbird feeders that are easy to clean. We're not going to get into hummingbirds, but I'm just saying, that is something we can help with. And that's even recommended by the Hummingbird Society and the Smithsonian because they can't find enough food. It's not our faults. It's just life. It's cities growing and more wild flowers being taken out. And though they do look for the flowers and they will go to the deserts, they can't live out there all the time. So we can help them out. As far as other birds, we could put out seeds or we could grow plants that they eat. We've got all those spice finches and goldfinches and house finches that come in. They eat the seeds from my brassicas. They eat the little seeds off my lemon verbena plants. They go through the different plants and eat the seeds off of it. So we can grow plants around the property, including fruit trees that they eat. Right now, they're devouring all my figs, but they're happy. I just have to go out there and see if I can find one here and there before they find it, though they usually get it before me. But I have found a few. So we can help nature at times, but if you need for your family food, and this is just the most important thing, then of course you've got to do what you have to do to protect all the plants, at least the vegetable plants that you are growing for your family. And we're going to talk a lot about that. I have other ways of getting rid of insects without using any pesticides, and we're going to get more into that very soon. There's no spraying involved or anything, but when the time is right, I think I'll go ahead and introduce this thing that I do, and we'll see what people have to say about it. We can all brainstorm together. We can all pass information. Let's make this a community where when you see me do something, you come in and say, well, I do that, or I don't like it that way. I have a better way. Post it. I don't stop you from posting this stuff. It's important that we spread the word on how to get plants growing because we need to eat food that we grow. After all, we know that over the United States and other parts of the world, most of the plants now that they grow are either GMO'd. I don't know if they're good or bad, but the other thing is they're treated. And when they're treated, it breaks all the enzymes down in the plants that we actually need for our body, but that also gives them a longer shelf life. So if we grow some of our own food, then we can put that back into our body, the enzymes that we need, along with vitamins. A lot of that goes too. And then we can mix and match from the grocery store as well as food that we grow naturally in our yard and even the smallest balcony. The smallest yard, a single container, can grow quite a bit of food, even if it's herbs, to add what we need into our body. So, what was I talking about this morning? I don't know. Probably the same thing. Most of it was, I was talking a lot about Malabar spinach and plants, so I kind of went off topic a little bit. But it's something for you to listen to. I hope I didn't disappoint you. Believe you me, I was very disappointed when I went back, turned it on, and there was no sound. I thought, wait, I tested it. Not twice, 3 times. And yet my mic still said it was working. So for some reason, it dropped the signal. That's simply it. But it's the first time it's done this in a long time, so maybe I did do something wrong. Maybe it wasn't completely plugged in. So I hope you enjoyed this. Get something growing in the spring. Think about what you want to grow and start composting now, even if you're going to put a tote or buckets in a corner of your yard. Keep dumping in your kitchen scraps. Top it with some soil you can find. If it snows, it snows. Don't worry about it. But save it, because in the spring, when everything melts, whatever you saved will still be gold to grow in your garden to produce food for your family. So that's it for now. And what I did after this is I went and worked on the deck, and I'm still working on the deck, and I will be sharing the hummingbirds with you all fall, all winter, and into spring, because I know a lot of you are upset that they left. I'm taking really good care of the ones here, and then in the spring, the hummingbirds will come back to you. And so that's what I'll do, share mine with you, because they're not mine. They belong to everybody. They're just here, parking themselves, knowing where they can find food and places to get water and shelter to sleep. With that, have a wonderful day, and don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye. And now I go check the mic to find out what a waste. Oh, well.